Hello, everyone, and welcome to this presentation. As you know in the title, this is a presentation that HK DerryBerry is going to be giving. Just a little side note: I mentioned in the intro of this presentation that there will be videos, and those videos are going to be put down in the description area. So if you guys look at the links, you can click on the links to the videos, and you guys will actually get to see what HK looks like. Please note that this presentation was done with a lot of visually impaired individuals. So if you hear individuals talking with that, but you don't see them, it's because they don't turn their cameras on. But I'm sure you will see plenty of people who do have their cameras on. So sit back, and I hope you guys enjoy this video.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this awesome presentation. And this is a presentation I've been looking forward to, a wonderful, inspirational, and motivational presentation. And I have a good friend who has a really great gift, HK DerryBerry, and he's from Columbia, Tennessee. And he's going to be giving a presentation along with we'll be showing a few two videos. So they're going to be telling you a little bit more about HK in those videos, and nothing too visual happens in those videos, just to let anyone who's visually impaired know that. But it's going to be great. And so HK is blind, and he also has cerebral palsy. And let's just talk about it. So HK's blindness and cerebral palsy was due to a car accident, due to drunk driving. And HK, do you want to start and tell a little bit about that, and then you can start your
Yes,
presentation? Okay.
yes. Uh, Hello everyone. I am HK DerryBerry. I am honored that Sean Williams invited me to share my story with you. Uh, my, Mr. Bradford and I have been normally we share our story around the country at least 30 times a year. We've done that for 5 or 6 years now. And the reason I am blind and have cerebral palsy is because my mother and father were both into drugs and alcohol, and she was pregnant and 6 months pregnant, and they got in an automobile accident which took her life and caused me to be blind, and one thing led to another, and I was in the neonatal intensive care for the first 96 days of my life. While I was in there, I had a grade 4 cerebral hemorrhage, a brain bleed that caused my cerebral palsy. And as sad as it is that my mother passed away when I was born, and I never got to know her, at least that was God getting me out of the alcohol early, because she was drinking when she shouldn't have been while pregnant, and it's sad, but just everyone know that God is in control. God is in control of things, and some people don't do as they should when they're pregnant, but God is in control. It was meant for me to be the way I am. But I am very honored again to be invited to share my story today. Usually in our meetings that we speak in, I start my presentation out something like this. I'm HK DerryBerry, and I realize the importance of starting your meetings on time, but I was afraid we were going to be late getting here today. Traffic on I-65 South from Brentwood to Columbia was bumper to bumper, and I was driving as fast as I could to get here today. We finally made it. The problem is I couldn't find a parking place, so I don't know where I parked my vehicle. So when you leave the meeting today, if any of you see a red SUV with Tennessee license plate, please let me know. That just might be my vehicle. You may not realize by looking at me, I have some disabilities. I am blind and I have cerebral palsy. So I can't do all the things that normal people without disabilities can do. It doesn't mean I don't want to do those things. I even dream of doing those things that people have told me all my life I can never do.
Sam has joined the meeting.
And but like, I love sports. I've always wanted to play sports, but I figure with my disabilities, I'll never have the opportunity. But just in case the opportunity ever presents itself, like Sean Williams, I have always tried to stay in great tip-top physical condition. For the past 2 years, every morning my Sean Williams exercise routine includes I wake up every morning at 5 a.m. Try to be real quiet, not to wake anyone up. Then I put on my walking shoes and my Matthew Stafford Detroit Lions sports attire. Then I work up a big sweat by walking around the block 3 times as fast as I can. Then I stop, take a couple of deep breaths to relax. Then I bend over, I pick up the block, I put the block back in the closet, then climb back in bed, sleep to 10. My favorite sport is football. I've always wanted to play football, but I figure with my disabilities, I will never have the opportunity. However, a couple years ago, one day after the University of Alabama Crimson Tide beat the Tennessee Volunteers in football for the 12th consecutive year, I overheard a disgruntled Tennessee football fan say, "Our quarterback must be blind. He couldn't complete a single pass." Well, folks, when I heard that, that is the most exciting news I had ever heard. I thought, if Tennessee's quarterback is blind, I'm blind. I can play quarterback on my high school football team. So, when I was in 10th grade, I immediately jogged to the high school football coach's office as fast as I could. I said, "Coach, I want to try out for quarterback." Coach took one look at me, said, "HK, thanks for trying out. You are a brave young man, but you are not fast enough. You don't weigh enough. You're not tall enough. You don't grunt loud enough. And your last name is not Stafford. That is you, folks would expect. I didn't make the team. I didn't give up though. I was once told your attitude determines your altitude in life. Just like all of you folks, I never give up. I like to soar like a Detroit Lion chasing a busload of Cleveland Browns. Then I thought to myself, I said, "HK, let's think about something that would be easy for normal people without disabilities to be able to do, but would be very challenging for a blind boy with cerebral palsy." Well, then I thought, I've been riding in my grandmother's vehicle for 29 and a half years now. She makes driving seem real easy. Then when I heard that John Williams' dad, Curtis, drives 50 in a 35-mile-an-hour speed zone while drinking Starbucks coffee and sending text messages to his son Sean at the same time, I thought, since I don't drink coffee and I don't text, driving must be really easy. So I immediately enrolled in driver's education. The instructor took one look at me, said, "HK, thanks for enrolling in this course. You are a brave young man, but you need a learner's permit for completion of this course. Come back when you can get one." Folks, as you can imagine, I hadn't been back, and I won't be going back until they invent a car that can safely drive itself. Folks, I realize on these free technology training seminars, you expect Sean Williams to always be honest and tell the truth. Sean Williams and any other speakers he has to always be honest and tell the truth. Well, I must apologize to you today. What I just told you is not the truth. It's a joke. With my disabilities, I cannot play football or drive a car. Where I went to school, all of us boys are blind, so we don't even have a football team, much less offer driver's education. If they offered driver's ed, they'd lose all their federal funding. Plus, the accident rate in Tennessee would be a lot higher. As Romans 12:6 says, God has given each of us the ability to do certain things well. Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. In sports, there's small schools like University of Wisconsin at Milwaukee. If they have to play a big school in football, such as Ohio State or Wisconsin, they would be considered the underdog. Well, in life, I have always been considered the underdog. What I mean by that is people tell me things I can't do without complimenting me for things that I can. When I was born, due to the accident that took my mother's life, doctors told my grandmother I probably wouldn't live long. Well, July 8th of this year, I'm gonna be 30 years old, and I am still kicking. Doctors also told my grandmother I would probably be confined to a wheelchair. Well, I walked in here today, no need for a wheelchair. In school, teachers told my grandmother and I that I wasn't smart enough nor capable to do a regular class load, take a regular class load. They said I wasn't fast enough and that I would never graduate high school. Well, June 1st, 2012, this little underdog pulled a major upset. I completed all the courses required of me by the state of Tennessee in order to receive a regular academic high school diploma, and I passed them all, including algebra, which was especially a challenge for a blind boy who reads and writes well with only the use of one hand. What I am sharing with you folks today is, with God in your life, anything is possible. If you work hard, determine what your capabilities are, maintain positive attitude, you can accomplish most anything in life within your capabilities. The only disability any of us have in life is a negative attitude. So I encourage all of you to always be positive. If you are ever down, depressed, and just think things can't get any worse, just pick up the phone, call toll free to our HK DerryBerry in Columbia, Tennessee. I will give you a no-charge, 100% money-back guaranteed technology training pep talk. Before I was 9 years old, my grandmother and I did not have much of a social life. We didn't have kids in the neighborhood that would play with me. Kids in the neighborhood looked at me like I was different. They were afraid of me. So when I wasn't in school, most of the time I was at home from the time I got up in the morning till I went to bed at night listening to radio. And that can be fun some days, but also that can get to be very lonely, especially for a blind boy who is not mobile without assistance. But all that changed when I turned 9 years old. When I turned 9 years old, I met my good friend and mentor, Mr. Jim Bradford. He quickly changed my life. He let me do things normal boys my age get to do that I had never gotten to do. I sure am glad he was an investor. He invested his time, money, and patience into me. He quickly became a father figure to me, which I never really had, because my father abandoned me at age 5 for 10 years. Mr. Bradford let me follow his eyes. What I mean by that is, seeing as how I can't see, he painted word pictures for me that I could visualize things he was seeing. He told me he loved me. He told me he was proud of me. He's proud to introduce me to his friends. He told me I would be a success in life. He and his wife Brenda even buy me nice clothes so I look like other young men my age. 20 and a half years later, the return on Mr. Bradford's initial investment into me has created a priceless friendship. If anyone, and as I said, we normally travel around and tell our story about 30 times a year, but during this pandemic, that has altered our plans for the moment, but hopefully the second half of the year we will get some more events. If you want to, if you have any organization or school system, church, or any civic group that wants to hear from us, you can go to my website, HKDerryBerry.com, and there's a place to inquire about us speaking. And Miss and Mr. Bradford, my mentor, will get back with you. Do any of you have any questions for me?
I don't know if we're muted.
Yeah, we can hear you.
What?
Oh, I thought someone had a question.
I have a thought, though. In case the pandemic doesn't go away, you can continue doing what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
People are meeting virtually all around the world.
I know. And couple in July, the end of July, we have gotten several speaking engagements with school systems wanting us to come talk to their teachers, and some of those have been canceled.
Are you talking to me? Yeah. I'm on the phone. I'm on a meeting. Sorry.
But everybody that has gotten in touch with me, Mr. Bradford, about us speaking at a school system, not all of them have canceled, but some of them a couple of them have completely canceled, and one of them said that we could have a virtual one. They still hadn't made a decision, but as of right now, I've got one in-person one on August the 4th in Athens, Tennessee, and a couple of the other, as I said, a couple of the other school systems have canceled, and one or two of them have said they might do virtual ones. Might have us do a virtual one.
I'm Chuck Anderson, Sean's grandfather. We're here. We're down here in Florida right now, and it brought where you live brought back some memories for me. You're from Columbia, Tennessee, is that right?
Yes.
And Columbia is a beautiful town, has a beautiful courthouse and a beautiful downtown. But anyway, a lot of years ago, before Sean was born, I took Sean's mother to Florida to look at a couple of universities down that way. And she was still deciding. She'd already been her first 2 years. She was going to go someplace in Florida for the next couple of years. But anyway, we got as far as your town, and I believe it was my transmission that went out. Mm-hmm. And so we spent a little time in your town getting a new transmission. And then I was there for a few days. And anyway, I rented a car and took Sean's mother on down to Florida and left her there a while and came back to get my car while they were doing it. But anyway, it was a lovely town. Your town was enjoyable just to walk around and see all the sights they had there. You have a President Polk that had a home there. I got to go in. So anyway, that was just a thought, made me brought back memories of your town, Columbia, Tennessee.
Thank you. I'm glad to know that my town, Miss Ann, where I was from, brought back memories. I'm sorry that the transmission went out that time, but as I said, things work out. Just thank you.
Renee Zillickson has joined the meeting.
HK, this is Marcy. I'm in Texas. I have read your book, or the book that Mr. Bradford wrote, called The Awakening of HK DerryBerry.
Yes.
Long before hearing this talk, and I'm so happy to hear you present to us.
Oh, I don't even see it. That's okay.
Okay. That's good. I'm glad you read my book,
I did.
Marcy.
Yes, I don't see it on the screen, but I'm in it.
That's
Available to anybody who'd like to read it on Bard.
That's
And I was very
good.
impressed with the book, with all the different things that he did to meet you, and how
Could
he found you in the restaurant at your grandmother's restaurant and took and adopted you as a friend. And what a beautiful investment.
Thank
You,
you.
you answered my question, which was how did Mr. Bradford connect with you? Because people in situations like ours or yours, I'm going to have a friend who's going through a terrible time. She was already visually impaired, but then she didn't make a slow transition. She woke up and she's blind. She went from disabled to blind in a very short order and is struggling with depression. But what is helpful is to have a mentor, and that without the mentor, it's tough. Or, you know what I'm saying? Because the public system is not strong enough to support you.
And this day and time, the kids that don't have a father figure and don't have a mentor, it seems like they tend to get in trouble with the law more, and that's why I think father figures are so important to a child's life and well-being, because without it, they tend to get on the wrong path.
Well, we're all children, so this person's an adult.
Mothers are doing all they can do, and I know that, but it's just sad that some people don't have a chance to.
So how did Mr. Bradford, how did you find each other? I guess that's my question.
My Grammy was working at Mrs. Winter's Fried Chicken in Brentwood, Tennessee, and she would take me to work with her because she couldn't afford a babysitter. And so she took me with her that morning, Saturday, October 16th, 1999. Temperature outside that day was 53 degrees outside. It was in the fall of the year when the leaves were changing colors, and it was, he used to play tennis in the fall and winter at a tennis court and indoor tennis court, and then he normally went to another company to get his coffee. He was on his way to Starbucks, but then he saw the red and white building with Mrs. Winter's Chicken and Biscuits, so he turned left and got his coffee at a chicken restaurant. His 27-cent, 25-cent plus tax, 2-cent tax coffee at Mrs. Winter's in Brentwood. And he got a real good friendship from that. He started talking to me, and our friendship got going, and here we are over 20 years later.
Book is amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really good. Did you even get to fly a plane, I think? You got to go on a plane?
I actually got to fly a plane one time.
Exactly.
I flew to Kentucky, ate lunch at Patty's restaurant, flew back, did not hit a thing. Now, a guy a guy at my church teach that gave me the trip for my 13th birthday says I fell asleep on the way back and hit 2 buzzards, which I didn't. That was just a joke.
Yep, that was awesome. I am so privileged to hear this talk because, like I said, I read the book. I never thought that I would hear the speaker, actually in person. That is so cool.
Thank you.
I mean, I love reading books about blind people who triumph and who do really well, and this one was so good. And now, wow.
That's good. You read my book. Thank you.
Well, that's good that he wrote it because he really made a difference in your life and made a difference
Renee
in our life.
Zillickson has left the meeting.
That's definitely true. You know,
Right.
there's
Mr. Bradford did the writing on the book.
Mm-hmm.
He did a good job on it.
he did definitely. So
Hi,
HK.
HK.
Oh, sorry.
Hi.
Oh, I just wanted to, I'm Kaylin. I'm Sean's sister-in-law, and he was telling us so many great things about you. And one of the things that we wanted to ask about was your highly superior autobiographical memory. So just like tell us a little more about that and how it's affected you.
Yeah, I remember anything, any minute of the day of my life since I was about 2.5, 3 years old. And also, if anybody wants to give me their birthday, I can tell them what day of the week they were born.
Okay, my birthday is August 23rd, 1997.
You were born on a Saturday.
Wow.
Wow.
When's her birthday this year?
It will be on a Sunday.
You guys are making me feel old.
You want to give yours next then?
Sure, May 27th, 1956.
May 27th of 56.
Yeah.
You were born on a Sunday, and your birthday was on Memorial Day in 57, 63, 68, 74,
Wow.
85, 91, 96, 02, 2013, and 2019.
Whoa,
Now that's pretty wild.
2024.
that's
That's-
amazing.
Oh, it's
That's
coming up in
awesome.
2024.
Sean's grandmother talking, and I am old. I'm going to be 81, and I was born on August 6, 1939. What day was I born?
August the 6th.
Yes.
She's really old.
In 39.
Yes.
You were born on a Sunday.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I was born in 1934.
What?
May 30th, 1934.
Oh,
May 30th of 34. That
Yep.
was on a Tuesday, and wait, in May 30th of 34, right? That
Yep.
was a Wednesday, and that was on Memorial Day in 1938, 1949, 1955, 1960, 1966, 1977, 1983, 1988, 1994, 2005, 2011 and 2016. And it will be Memorial Day again in 2022.
You're amazing.
That's crazy.
You are amazing.
How did you discover this talent?
Well, my Grammy and I discovered it one day when I was in the house and talking to myself, and I was telling her I had heel cord surgery on Valentine's Day of 1996, and that was a Wednesday, and anniversary in 97 was a Friday, and next year was Saturday. And that she went and looked, got a calendar and looked those dates up, and I was right. And she started asking me about other dates, and I have never been wrong. So she finally, through her the piece of paper she was looking at, a calendar, she found what? A perpetual calendar. She finally threw it away, as I was never.
Wow.
Very cool.
So HK, let's throw out some dates. Let's see. So, I told you that the podcast that I started, that I was doing for 11 years, I told you it was in November. I think it was October 10th of 2008. What day was that on?
October 10th of 2008 was a Friday. Was that the podcast Tech Wizard?
Yep.
That was the one you had me and Jim on back on August 20th of 2018.
Yep. That's absolutely right. So HK, what day did you and I first meet? Because before you answer that, let me give you a little background on how HK and I met. So, my father, he works in IT, and he told me that there was going to be a motivational speaker speaking, and he told me that he was blind, and do I want to go? I said, okay. And so we went, and so I actually sat right behind, it was right behind HK, and that day HK had he had a digital recorder, and we were all at the end of his motivational speech, which was excellent. We all spoke into the digital recorder so he could remember our voices, and so afterwards, anyway, I met HK, and I had asked him that time about his book, and he said it was an audio, and we've been friends ever since then. And the date that HK gave you when I interviewed him was when I went to go see him. We were talking, and he said that he was going to be speaking in Traverse City. Excuse me. Yeah, in Traverse City. And so I said, yeah, man, I will definitely come if I can, because I was wanting to see him again and talk to him. And so I did go. And so I was in his hotel room, and I was teaching him how to use his Braille Note Apex and an iPod Touch. And I said, and so we started. Then I brought up the subject of possibly interviewing him for the podcast, and so we did that, and that was great. So that's a little background story of how we met.
And that day I met you, Sean, was Thursday, May 25th of 2017.
Oh wow. But actually, when HK and I met, I just got done going through chemotherapy, so I looked a little different visually than I do now. But yeah, actually, yeah, that was actually during the Traverse City visit. But anyway.
HK, Sean mentioned that you used an Apex and an iPod Touch and a digital recorder. What access technology do you use today?
Well, actually, the digital recorder thing was a microphone that they had on me that they had spoken, got to meet John and them. But the well-known Apex and iPod Touch is the main pieces of technology that I have. But the Apex I've had about 7 years now, and I got the iPod Touch back in 2018, which Sean had sent to me as a gift that he knew he could teach me how to use.
And he actually so he told y'all that he reads and writes Braille with one hand. So we're trying to figure out, okay, so how, what was the best way for him to be able to use the iPod Touch? So what we did in the end was we connected the Apex to the iPod Touch, and he was able to navigate the iPod through the Apex, and he was doing really, really well with that too.
Neat.
Yeah.
Are the smart speakers able to understand you?
I'm sorry?
Are the smart speakers able to understand his voice? The smart speakers like the Google Home or the iPod that you demonstrated for us, or the Alexa?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know that he HK, you don't have an Echo, do you?
No, I don't have any of that other stuff that you have been teaching. And yeah, iPod Touch actually, we have, about us being in Colombia, we have just recently moved to Colombia and still working on getting things on set up and everything. So needless to say, don't know where some of things are, but we're still it's a work in progress, and hopefully one day soon I will get to have more technology. That's a goal of mine, is to have. I like the instruction that you, Sean, have been given about the Echo and Alexa. I think all of that stuff is stuff that would benefit me if I knew exactly how to use it. And
well, thanks.
I'm just amazed that technology has come so far in the last 12 years since Apple products got really started.
Oh yeah, definitely. The first iPod Touch, it was an iPod 4. No, I'm sorry. My mistake. It was an iPod 3 actually, and then the first iPhone, of course, with voiceover was iPhone 3GS. But yeah, those were definitely game changers. But let's throw out. No, so let's see. How about? Okay, so as you probably recall, my birthday is December 15th. And so I was born in 1990.
You were born on a Saturday.
Okay. And so what day of the year will my birthday be this year?
It will be a Tuesday.
Oh, cool. That was something to
You
look
will
forward
be
to.
30 in December. I will be 30 coming up July 8th of this year.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And it's funny, like I kind of have a knack for times, and maybe it's because I read your book about 4 times before interviewing you, but I remember you were born at 6:01 a.m.
Yes,
Yep.
I was.
Does anybody have any other questions for HK?
Yes, this is Verlin from Texas, and I wanted to know, HK, have you ever spoken with or met a gentleman named Ted Galanos?
Did you say, Ted Logano, what?
Ted,
What was it?
T-E-D.
Ted
T-E-D.
Logano. What? T-E-D?
T
Yep.
is in Tom.
T-E-D.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never, I don't know that I've spoken with him, but I've been to national conventions of NFB and, a few times, and I met a lot of people at those, but, it all runs together. There were so many people at those conventions. Is he blind?
He is, and the reason I bring him up, he does live in Houston, but he's a gentleman who is completely blind, and he's in a wheelchair, and he doesn't have very many digits. You know, about all his toes and fingers are gone due to a very unusual condition. But he had shared stories about participating with an organization that have designed various types of ways that the disabled can go water skiing and snow skiing and things like that. And you had mentioned sports earlier, so I wondered if you'd be interested in speaking with him sometime.
I would love to speak to him. In fact, I do snow ski. I have done and do snow skiing whenever I have the opportunity to go to Colorado. I have skied in Winter Park, Colorado. The last I've skied in Colorado in Winter Park 7 out of the last 8 years, one a few days each winter. I go with a lady who owns a horseback riding place up in Springfield, Tennessee, called Paradise Ranch. Her name is Sherilyn Snyder, and I snow ski using a slider thing, which is like a walker with and with a handlebar that I can put my arm in and they strap it on, strap my arms on there, and I can ski down the slope with the instructors. And I first went skiing on my senior ski trip. My high school class, TSB, takes their high school seniors on a ski trip to Snowmass, Colorado, and skis for a few days. So that was the first time I ever went snow skiing.
Oh, that makes me so happy to hear. I'm glad
So
you're.
I would be more than happy to talk with this guy. It's sad that he doesn't have his fingers or his toes. What caused him not to? Was he born without those parts, or what happened to him?
He has a very rare condition where he's highly susceptible to infections. So as a child, playing around and things, he'd get a little cut here or there, and that's about all I know. But it started as a child, and then as he's gotten older, other things have happened. He taught himself how to use his iPhone by using his chin, his lips, his forehead to do the gestures. And I was, oh my goodness.
I recently, back in 2018, Mr. Bradford and I spoke at Hendersonville Church of Christ, and we met this young man that is named Jim Shannon, and he was born a normal, healthy baby, but at 2 years old, or thereabouts, he got a vaccine, and it caused him to be paralyzed, caused him to have cerebral palsy and be paralyzed from, I think, neck down. But anyway, he's in a wheelchair, and he can't talk, and his arms are strapped to the chair, and he graduated from MTSU, I think magna cum laude or something like that. He uses his chin to do emails. Like if he's doing an email, he has a strap on his chin and his tongue. If he's saying yes, his tongue goes one way, or no, it goes another way. But he can't talk. He makes me so grateful, and it's just sad that, but at least he was able to. He works for the state of Tennessee now. He has a whole upstairs. He has an office in his house where he can work. He has 24-hour caregivers with somebody with him 24 hours a day. He has to have 24-hour care. So,
Well, they say there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah. Does he have to have that kind of care 24 hours, like?
When he lived in his own place, he did. Now he's in a healthcare center, so there's obviously someone there 24/7, but I don't know if they're right there by his side 24/7.
Okay.
Yeah, but inspirational people all over the world, and you definitely have inspired me. So thank you so much for being here today.
You're welcome.
Hi, this is Hillary from North Carolina, and I just wanted to share with you, I'm a dancer, and it's really, music and dance is critical to my life. As a matter of fact, I went to school in Traverse City to Interlochen when I was sighted. And long story short, I went to a convention here in North Carolina, American Dance Festival, which was about disabilities in dance, cross disabilities. And there were several people in wheelchairs. There was a dance company from Oakland, California that came down. And there are entire dance companies that are made up of people with cross disabilities. It's phenomenal, including cerebral palsy. And Shali Comerford works with people where she actually has worked with a girl here locally who has cerebral palsy, and she wants to make a leap. They either take her out of her wheelchair and she can leap on the floor. She does all the gesturing of a leap, or somebody will dance with her and lift her up. She'll gesture on what her intention is, and he'll move her across the floor. So the choreographies are beautiful, and there's also Parkinson's involved. People who are frozen with Parkinson's can become fluid when they can dance. So I guess my point is there's amazing things out there if you look for them. If the internet can open the world to all kinds of opportunity for those who have disabilities.
Yes, I've seen the amazing work and heard about the amazing work instructors and volunteers do to make people with disabilities be able to do things that people never would think a person with a disability would be able to do.
Yep. So when people say you can't do that or it's not available, think twice.
Yeah, and you know, some people with disabilities, some programs have things like whitewater rafting and kayaking and other things that people with disabilities, you never
Notification
would think
center,
they
exiting list,
could.
low battery. Low battery, your Mac close button. Notes.
Yep. Does anyone else have any more questions for HK?
Safari. Zoom.us. Zoom.us. System dialog. Mute button. Audio stop video. Video subnet.
Hey, HK, this is
Security
Drew
menu
Sean
button.
Miller. I just wanted to thank you for sharing today. Very inspirational.
Thank you. And before this session ends, I want to tell everybody, if any of y'all do Facebook, go to my website, HKDerryBerry.com, and like my fan page. That's one of the good ways for people to communicate with me. And there's something comes out on there about this. What, Grammy? I have a friend who helps me do my post on Facebook who does that for me. And so things come out usually once or twice a week, and so.
Yep. Well, actually, so HK, there are a couple funny stories, but there's so that I want to share with people. So, that when HK was younger, he he was at a church with Jim Bradford and his wife Brenda, and at the end of the service, the pastor said, "Okay, next week, a brunch is going to be held, but the children are going to still go to their normal service." And so, HK, what did you ask? What did you ask Jim and Brenda when?
I said, Jim and Brenda, can kids go to the brunch?
So Brenda winked at Jim and she said, well, yeah, HK, yeah, sure, we'd love to have you. So for about the rest of about a dozen times or so, HK kept saying, Brenda, yes, HK, thanks for letting me go to the brunch. And she'd say, well, you're quite welcome, HK. Mr. Bradford and I are happy to have you. And so so Jim, right before he went to take HK home, uh, HK said, oh, Brenda, what is a brunch? So he liked the idea of the brunch. He just didn't know what it was. But there was also
Yeah.
one regarding bluegrass. Do you want to tell that story, HK?
Yeah, Jim asked me if he used to go to
Currently muted.
bluegrass every
Currently unmuted.
Thursday night, and he usually went with there were a bunch of other people that went every Thursday night, and I used to stay in the cottage at school on Thursday nights back then, and when school was out that summer, he asked if I wanted to go to bluegrass, and I said with him, and I said I would love to. I said I love bluegrass, and so we got in the parking lot that first night we went on May 31st, 2001, and Jim said, we're here, and I said, oh, Jim, Mr. Pepper, what is bluegrass? So, I knew that it was music that I would like, but I really didn't know what.
Right.
What?
You didn't know what it was. But yeah, guys, if you guys actually, if you guys have Audible, there is a great reader that reads The Awakening of HK DerryBerry as well, and that's a really, really good read if you guys want to read that. But any other questions before we end the session? Okay, well, thank you guys for coming, and I apologize about those videos, but I think we got everything covered, and I will see you guys next week.